Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Q&A live on this Saturday evening. Today, we have with us a popular cafe, owners of popular cafe Sarnies. They have branches in both Singapore and Bangkok. And yeah, do comment if you have been to their cafe before. We would like to know. And of course, as usual, if you have any comments you would like to ask the owners or Eddie or myself, feel free to comment in the comment box below. We will get to your questions during the whole Q&A session. All right, without further ado, I will hand over the time to Eddie.
Hello everyone. Hello from Bangkok. Hello Eric. Hello Ben. Yeah.
Hey guys, hi.
Hey guys.
Yeah. I think Sarnies is not a place that is unfamiliar to people in both Singapore and Bangkok, who make up most of our viewers. But I think many people maybe do not know a very holistic view of Sarnies, because when we think about Sarnies, we think about coffee and we think about cafe food, very nice cafe food. But I think there is much more to Sarnies than that. So maybe I'll pass it over to you guys to tell us a bit more about Sarnies.
All right. Well, I can probably start with that one. So I moved to Singapore in 2009, and I was in a corporate job, actually. And whenever I'd go out for my lunch, I couldn't find a decent sandwich. And then I was looking around, and the best sandwich I could find was O'Brien's. I don't know if that's even still around, O'Brien's. But yeah, so that was as far as I could find, the top sandwich in Singapore at the time. And so I had the idea to start a sandwich shop. And I mean, most people probably know a sarnie is English slang for a sandwich. All right. And so it was going to be a hole in the wall takeaway sandwich shop originally. But we found a spot on Telakaya Street, which is a bit bigger than what we needed. So it ended up getting a coffee machine, and a full menu with a kitchen and salads and everything made it on the menu. So yeah, that's where we started, and eventually it moved into roasting our own coffee, because we wanted to do it in a particular way. And that's why, we have a coffee brand called Sarnies. It's kind of a silly name for a coffee brand, given that it means a sandwich. But that was the origin of it, and I guess it just stuck with everybody. So that was the beginnings.
Okay. Before Eric, sorry, Ben, can you introduce yourself, because your nationality and background could be a bit interesting.
Right. It's not that interesting, actually. I'm from Australia. I'm from Sydney. But my mum's Australian. My dad was from Hong Kong. And I left Australia when I was about 21. So I went and lived in the US for a bit, went and lived in London for a bit, and then came to Singapore. And now mostly based in Bangkok at the moment, with the different businesses we're doing over here.
Okay, Eric, your turn.
Hey everyone, hi. I'm Eric, and yeah, I'm actually from Malaysia. I'm based in Bangkok right now with Ben and Eddie. But I started working in Sarnies about, I think, 8 years ago, and eventually, one thing led to another, and became partners with Ben, and then we branched out into a few different markets. Malaysia, one of them. Did a couple more things in Singapore, and then ended up here in Bangkok pretty much. So yeah.
Also, Sarnies is in Malaysia as well.
Oh no, we actually didn't do Sarnies in Malaysia, but we did like a couple of other sort of businesses over there, F&B related as well. So yeah.
Oh wow, interesting. So
Yeah.
overall, Sarnies is more than just a cafe, right? You have other brands as well, and you do some B2B stuff as well, right?
Yeah, it's turning into I guess a mini conglomerate almost. So Sarnies is effectively I know we kind of think of it as a bit of a shop front for a lot of the other stuff that we do. Which is we haven't talked about this yet, Eddie, but So we have different F&B brands. As you know, we have Pimp My Salad, and we can talk about that later. We've done other F&B brands over the years as well. We also have our own coffee roaster. So we sell coffee online and also B2B wholesale coffee. We also have a social media company as well, which was an offshoot from Sarnies, and the way that came about was, back when social media was beginning, I was running around with my phone, taking bad photos and posting them up, and that was our social media. And I knew I wasn't very good at it, and I didn't really want to do it. And so I went and inquired to different companies on them being able to do our social media. And mostly back then, this was probably going back about six or 7 years ago now. Mostly you had PR companies back there that would, the PR model is generally, charge a lot of money for a 6-month retainer, get the brand exposure and then move on to the next. And so it would cost, we were getting quotes for like $5,000 a month to manage our social media if we would create the content for them to post up. So it was hard to get that service in the market. And so we started doing it in-house and, built that team. And then after a while, other people started asking us who does our social media. And it turned out they were looking for a service where, an agency or somebody would do it from start to finish. They would create the content, they would post it up online, they will time it, and they would answer all the questions that come on social media as well. And so we had a bit of a fledgling business from that. So the business is called Chow Social, and they manage all of our social media around Thailand and Singapore. So that was one, and so there's a few other different brands around, but yeah, mostly started from the original Sarnies Cafe in Singapore.
So the social media company is still around, right?
It's still around. It's growing, and they manage social media for a number of sort of fairly high profile brands in Singapore. And they're just moving into Thailand now, starting with our brands, and we'll look to take on a few other brands in Thailand as well.
Cool. I know who to recommend to people who ask me now.
Awesome.
We need to talk more about this after that.
Okay. Sounds good. We could get Charmaine on the show. There's Charmaine, who we work with, runs it all, and she's fantastic.
All right. And Eric, do you have any more to add?
No, I think that's pretty much it for the brief intro for Sarnies. Yeah.
Yep. So something quite interesting for me is Sarnies started off in Singapore, and now both of you are based in Thailand already. And then it seems like things are expanding a little bit in Thailand. So why Thailand?
Well, I think we came here about a good 5, 6 years ago on a restaurant consulting job, basically. And we knew a couple of people who were connected in the restaurant industry. And they also knew the market quite well over here. So there was an opportunity for us to actually do and set up a restaurant and consult with the coffee side of things. And so that pretty much was one of the main reasons why we actually came to Thailand in the first place. And Ben was actually in Singapore at that time, and I think I was based in Malaysia still. Both of us decided to sort of work remotely and come in and out of Thailand a little bit, just to explore the market and to also set up that restaurant. And eventually, I think after about a year or two of doing that, I decided to move down here, and we decided to set up shop somewhere in Sukhumvit. We found a nice little space where we thought we could actually launch and introduce the brand into Bangkok. Sarnies kind of is like a full-fledged cafe, but we thought, rather than to go straight into that, the smart thing to do was to actually learn a little bit more about the market. So rather than going full-fledged cafe opening, we decided maybe we'll start with a small little roastery first, basically. Bring down the coffee brand, introduce the brand to the people of Thailand, get them familiar with it, and at the same time we would learn a lot, about what could work down here as well. And yeah, after 2 years, it built a little bit of speed, and then we actually looked up on. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. We actually looked up online on it's like a trading platform for secondhand stuff, and we managed to find the Charan Krung property that we're on right now. The platform's called Kaidi, and back when we were using it back then, there was no English, or at least for when I was using it, maybe I was using the wrong setting or whatever, but I had to translate page by page, and just look for listings that could potentially work for a cafe, basically. And we found the space that we're in right now. And
Eric found the most beaten up looking building, but we decided to look at it anyway, and it turned out nice.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, it was. So for the viewers who don't know where Sarnies in Bangkok is, we're actually located in Charan Krung, Soi 44. It's in Bang Rak district, and it's a district that has a lot of history around it. It's one of the not so modern parts of Bangkok, and you have a lot of buildings around there that are easily about 100 years and above old. So the building that we found was actually 150 years old. It was not like 100% in shambles, but it wasn't in very good shape as well. So but we decided that it was such a beautiful space and it would work very well with the brand that we wanted to bring down to to Thailand, basically.
Wilbur, do you have a picture to share? How it looks?
Mm.
Is it easy to
I can pull one up for you guys if you want. Let's see.
No.
It's on the front page of the website.
Eric can pull.
The website.
I can send you the link. But yeah.
Yeah. Wilbur, just flash our poster for the event. Yeah, Wilbur and I were discussing whether to put the building or a cup of coffee as the marketing. Then I told him that people remember the building very well, so we decided to put the building. And after we put the building, in my heart I saw it and I thought, wow, this building looks quite dilapidated actually.
It is like
that's the charm, Eddie. That's the charm of it.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, let me flash it.
Yeah, you can do it now. All right.
There we go. Nice.
Wow. This is Sarnies, man. Beautiful place, really.
Yeah. So it took a lot of work to bring that building into the life, because obviously it had good structures and good bones, but a lot of the brick and a lot of the pieces were falling apart. So I think we took about 8 months to renovate the whole place. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For viewers who wants to visit Sarnies, you can actually take a BTS SkyTrain to Sepan Taksin BTS, and then you just walk out towards Robinson's department store, and then following that you will see Soi 44. And yeah, on that Soi, I think that Soi have really changed a lot. In the past, when I was like exploring the area, they already have lots of good local food. But nowadays, it's really becoming a very happening Soi in Bangkok, which all of you should check it out. Yeah, maybe we can do a video of what you should check out on that Soi next time. New idea.
Yeah.
Just only Soi 44 is going to be fun. But please walk to the end and go to Sarnies first, okay? Otherwise Otherwise, you will be full before you even reach Sarnies.
Get there early.
And if you go into Sarnies and you only drink a coffee, then I think it's a pity, because there's a lot more to Sarnies than just a cup of coffee, even though the coffee is great. Yeah.
Well, that was one of the things that we saw when we first came to Bangkok. Now it kind of reminds me of when I first came to Singapore. You had cafes, and they did good coffee, but then for food options, you'd have a pastry in the window. And then after a while, Singapore changed, and the cafes became great places to eat as well. But when we came to Bangkok, it was that sort of environment. Lots of coffee shops, lots of good coffee, but that's where it stopped. There wasn't many places that would take their food as seriously, and so that's where we saw there was a bit of a gap there. Even still, there's some places in Bangkok that do great food and great coffee, but there's still not that many of them. So I think that's probably where Sarnies still gets a lot of interest.
That's awesome.
So we have a
Manatra.
comment from Jackie. Yeah.
Thank you, Jackie.
The brownies at Sarnies are really, you got to try lah.
And that is the original brownie recipe from when we first started Sarnies as well, and it's made its way over to Bangkok.
Yeah, and I think that the floor, the audience, they are listening, but they are not talking much. So yeah, if you have anything that you want to comment or ask, this is a very rare opportunity that you get to see Eric and Ben here, and you can ask them directly, because we will help you. We will help you ask them for sure. Okay, so feel free. Okay, now we move on to COVID, because we are starting this live series because of COVID, because Wilbur cannot come, because we want to continue to remind travelers of Thailand. So COVID started this, so we cannot avoid talking about about it. So one of my inspirations to inviting Sarnies is because they have the perspective from both sides. Even though Mark has me and Wilbur, and we have perspective from both sides, but it's a little bit different because we are not running a business that is like a B2B or B2C like them. So putting Sarnies on is very different from putting all our other guests on who have only a single perspective of a single city. So the first question I would like to ask is, when the situation changed because of COVID, like all the lockdown, the circuit breakers came, what is the difference that you see between the two countries? Whether it's from the government and the authority support, from the time you are given to react, and also after you change your way of doing business, what was the reaction from the customers? I think it's a very fine and wide question, so just feel free to share anything.
Well, it sucks in both countries during this time. I guess, I mean, different challenges in different places. So if I look at Singapore, you have generally much higher rents and much higher wage costs, but you have had wage subsidies by the government, and the government has also sort of co-shared the risk of loans as well. So for established companies in Singapore, there is better access to loans, even though they have to get paid back, but it does help you through what is hopefully a temporary time. And you also get the wage subsidies. The problem with Singapore is that in an F&B business, you tend to employ a decent proportion of your workforce as far as from overseas, and so you don't get the wage subsidies from there. So it's good and bad in Singapore from that perspective. And if I compare that to Thailand, Thailand has much lower wages comparatively, much lower rent comparatively. And so, the damage isn't as extreme, but then again, you don't get any sort of government help over in Thailand. So different problems, but yeah, over the two countries.
Eric, anything?
I think for like what say like when it comes to government support and stimulus, I think Singapore kind of did it a little bit like slightly better, you know, because like Thailand, I guess government support was more on individuals rather than small and independent businesses. So there was some stimulus help support going to say individuals who don't have like jobs basically, but unfortunately that is only one constituent, whereas like Singapore kind of, you know, did it a little bit better where the support was given to more than one, you know, to the businesses, and they could also pay their employees as well. So that's what I felt was a bit different basically.
Thailand has lifted their lockdown measures a lot earlier as well. So that's certainly helped the running business in Thailand versus Singapore. Singapore only opened dine-in was it yesterday? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Sarnies full of people in the last 2 days in Singapore?
Well, it was raining a lot in Singapore, apparently.
But it was still pretty busy, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not as busy as it would be normally, but you know, it's nice to get people in the door, because it has been a very expensive last few months. So, I mean, in comparing the two, we've lost a lot more money in Singapore than we have in Thailand. So that's probably a good way of measuring it.
Yeah. So, okay. So now we move on to maybe the most interesting part of the conversation is how did we manage the situation? Because I think, you know, I think everybody is on survival mode, and a lot of people are, you know, have an unpleasant surprise of the reality after something like this happened. So, but Sarnies is still open, you know, after these 2 months, because I've had many restaurants that I like that have actually told me they're not opening anymore. Some have announced it, some haven't. But I think many people will realize that when they wake up tomorrow, they might not have their favorite restaurant there anymore. So how has Sarnies made sure that this didn't happen?
I mean, when this first hit, you know, obviously it was, you know, nobody really knew what to do. But I guess, you know, the way we tried to treat it was, you know, something out of our control. And so we tried to treat it as an opportunity. And there was a lot of things that we'd wanted to do in the online space that we kind of hadn't really got around to. And that was because we were too busy managing the operations in the actual stores. So it led us down, you know, a great learning path of, you know, finding out how to sell much better online. And so in this time, you know, we launched our online coffee platform in Bangkok. We did a lot more over social media, and I think that's one of the reasons why you see Sarnies Bangkok quite full now. You know, is because we've been quite aggressive over social media, put a lot of time and effort into that, and we've also done a lot of online deals as well. So we're much better now, you know, selling online and you know, managing our online presence than we were pre-COVID. So that's one of the you know, one thing we've learned. You know, we're also looking at future brands as well that can perform better online than they do in a physical store, and even looking to launch brands, online first, is a way to test them before putting them into a physical presence. So it's kind of, in a way, sort of changed our whole mindset on, how we approach starting a new store or a new brand or a new business even.
No, that's right. And to I guess to give the users a little bit of perspective about how bad we got affected, was the Sarnies Bangkok, basically, a lot of our customers, I would say about 70% of our customers are actually tourists. So during I think even before the lockdown happened in March, like it was about January, and tourism was already sort of affected quite badly, and sales, we already saw like a huge dip in sales. And when it came to the lockdown, I guess this was where it really caught us by surprise, because obviously, nobody could have thought of this happening. You can't really imagine, Thailand without the tourists. It kind of thrives on tourism, basically. So it was a little bit we took that for granted a little. And so when the tourists, when the lockdowns happened, like we weren't built for takeaways, we weren't built for deliveries as well. And that sort of kind of made it, we sort of had to really retool the business very quickly, and really reach out to all sorts of different platforms. And as to Ben mentioned, with our social media presence, especially for the local market, like a lot of people surprisingly did not know that, one, we existed actually, and furthermore, for the ones who did know that we were in Bangkok, like a lot of them didn't know that we were actually a foodie place as well. So that gave us we used that opportunity pretty much to change how people perceive the brand. And that's why, that's where we started putting out all sorts of deals, really, really aggressive deals, where, in a climate where most people would be trying to conserve cash and survive and really just focus on, I guess, not, rather than putting out all sorts of aggressive deals, most people would try to save cash and try and conserve. Whereas we kind of did the opposite. We really just like put ourselves out there and really just market ourselves very aggressively, and just to get people down to try, just to get people ordering stuff. Like there was a cold brew deal that we did. We launched that right in the beginning of the lockdown, because just to sort of change how, because most people, Sarnies used to be a dine-in place, so a lot of people had no idea. Like a lot of people who can't sort of dine out anymore, like we wanted to be able to bring coffee to their homes pretty much, and that's one of the things that we did. So yeah, aggressive deals pretty much.
You are talking about Bangkok, but what about Singapore? Is it the same?
It's similar, yeah. We had to, really get up the curve in learning and creating a much better online presence. And in order to do that quickly, we had to offer some pretty aggressive deals as well. And also, it's also tailoring your menu so it travels as well. So there was, I think a lot of places kind of shut, treated the lockdown as a bit of a break, a bit of a holiday. But we've probably worked, I know we have worked harder and longer during these last 3 months than we ever have.
Yeah.
But it's been a good thing. I mean, the learning curve has been very steep. And I think coming out of this, we're a much stronger team and a much stronger business for it.
So being someone who ordered delivery from Sarnies in Bangkok, I have to say that the packaging is really one of the best that I have, because I have over the last 2 months I've ordered countless delivery meals for my family. So I think Sarnies packaging, I mean, Sarnies food is Sarnies food, okay? It's the same food. It just arrives a bit less warm than if you eat it there. But the packaging wise, I think they have put in a lot of effort. So it's one of the more complete experiences in terms of delivery as well. So I believe a lot of effort has been put into that. Yep. So
That's good to hear.
yeah. And I heard Eric said that 70% of your guests were tourists, but we are not expecting any tourists back in the near future. So so now when it's reopened, it means that you have like 70% of the people to win back locally to fill up your cafe. So have you
Yes.
already done it?
Go ahead, Ben. Yeah.
It's bounced back quicker than we thought, which is quite nice. My thoughts on that is it's a testament to our social media team and what they've done to get the word out. Our aim was, as soon as the lockdown ends, we want anyone who's going out to a cafe, we want them to think of Sarnies first. And I think that's happened. So I think once tourists do return, we've got a better base of local customers to build off.
So I think this leads us to a bit to a discussion of delivery applications, because I know a lot of friends in the industry who have very extreme views of delivery applications. Personally, as a customer who is just focused on putting food on the table on time every day, I find the delivery applications a necessary evil in this in this situation, where we cannot go out and eat, and it's impossible to cook 3 meals a day and put them on time on the table every single day. So from a business owner's perspective, can you tell us a bit about your perspective of delivery applications and how the situation differs in between Bangkok and Singapore?
I mean, you're absolutely right. From a customer perspective, the delivery apps are awesome. From a restaurant perspective, it's a bit more challenging. Most of the delivery apps are based off a percentage of sales goes to the delivery apps, and it's quite a high percentage. Right? It travels around about 30%. So if you sell 1,000 baht worth, you're paying 300 baht to the delivery company, and you've got to factor in the cost of your food there, and paying your wages and everything. So you don't make a whole lot of money out of delivery. So you need to really have a low operating cost. If you are to sort of build a business around the delivery platforms. And I think, in terms of Singapore and Bangkok, I think they work pretty similarly. But I think because it's not super beneficial for a restaurant to be focusing so much on delivery, I think ultimately what it's going to lead to is restaurants building their own platforms and managing their own deliveries. If you and that way a restaurant can almost decide which orders they want to take. For example, they can do a 500 baht minimum order, for example, and then you can factor in delivery on an order like that. Whereas if you order a bubble tea over one of the delivery apps, you can order a 50 baht bubble tea from one side of Bangkok to the other and pay no delivery on that. So somebody's losing money there somewhere. So I think given the rates that the restaurants have to pay, ultimately it's going to lead to either restaurants doing their own platforms, but it's also going to lead to a lot of other players coming to the market to try and offer better deals for the restaurant. At the moment, the apps are great for the customers, and it's totally marketed to a customer. But I think there's a gap in the market for a delivery app that will, kind of market itself to a restaurant in a way. And if you keep the restaurants happy, then they're going to use that platform to recommend on to their customers. So I think we probably see a bit of a shake-up in the industry going forward.
Yes, and Eric, maybe you could share with us how has the delivery apps actually might have helped Sarnies in Bangkok in a way?
Sure, no worries. So I think one of the things that I guess one of the more positive things to having, say, using these delivery platforms is they serve as some sort of marketing platform for your brand, because obviously not every single brand has the capacity to market itself as well as some other brands who can. And like what Ben mentioned, I think there's a lot of restaurants out there that actually it doesn't make sense for a lot of restaurants out there to sign up for these delivery platforms, but due to, say, the nature of their product, that's why you see a lot of I guess high-end sort of restaurants trying to manage a lot of these deliveries themselves during this pandemic and the lockdown. But for those who certainly can, I guess the value there is it serves as some sort of bridge for your restaurant to the actual consumer. As you pay a little bit for it, but at the same time, we've had some orders come in from people who, they wrote into our pages. They say, hey, we want to order stuff from Sarnies. We want to get a whole bunch of stuff. We'll send you the payments. We'll actually, and then you can deliver it to us. So for some restaurants, that actually creates a little bit more work and management, and not all restaurants have the capabilities to manage that. So I guess this is where, these are one of the different things that these delivery platforms actually come in handy. And then there's also fraud, basically. I'm sure the amount of people who try and cheat during with these platforms, whether or not they're drivers or whether or not they are customers or even the restaurants. Like, I'm sure there's so many different touch points that can ruin an experience for a consumer, versus, oh, we've lost Ben, right?
Yeah, you're on your own now, please.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, there's a lot of different things that can mess up an order for a customer, pretty much, So it's very different from, say, when you're in a restaurant, you're serving food, you're taking food and serving it to the customer direct. You're sending food across town, so I'm sure it makes a big difference there. So that's where I see there's value in some of these platforms. I think it's we believe it's still very expensive, like as Ben mentioned, but there is still value in them. So yeah.
So as a consumer, I with many friends in the industry, I would love to support my friends and let them earn more, hopefully without myself paying more, which means that if there is a choice between a delivery application and going directly to order from them, I think I would try to order directly from them wherever possible.
Of course,
However,
yeah,
I have also faced a lot of issues ordering direct as well, because because it's not as seamless as making your choice, pressing on the app, and then you have your credit card linked to the app, and then you just have to go there and collect after that. There's a lot of
yeah,
work involved to get the whole order done. And
yeah.
I just give a very quick example. Yesterday, I ordered something from one of my favorite restaurants in the vicinity, and then the person
Mm-hmm.
who was in charge of the line was I think I'm sure she was a Burmese. Her Thai was not good. It's Chinese food, but she didn't know Mandarin, and she didn't know English. So how I ordered was like short voice messages to and fro each other. To I want it, and I had to say all the dish names in Thai, which is a bit which is a bit complicated for me, and I was very very afraid that they will make a mistake. Like for example, I said I didn't want spicy, but it will come spicy. Then my kids couldn't eat it. So so it's actually a bit challenging as well if they haven't gotten their direct ordering system very mature.
Sure.
So it's a bit of a, you don't know what's right and what's wrong now, but I think hopefully we are moving towards a better balance in the future.
No, that's right. Yeah. And yeah, like you mentioned, not all restaurants can pivot and set up, a very strong delivery system. And that's why some of these apps they come in handy.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. So also I think before Sunny's was mainly a cafe selling coffee to customers at the cafe,
Yep.
and also roasting coffee to sell to other cafes, right? More of a
Yes.
B2B, like coffee beans.
Yes. Yes, that's
So
right.
have you moved a bit more to selling coffee beans to consumers
Yeah. So that was one of the, I guess, the huge efforts that we also did during this whole pandemic. Like a lot of like we're a cafe, and a lot of the coffee that we serve at the cafe is actually roasted by us. But at the same time, we also roast a coffee for a number of different establishments. And so most, I would say, a lot of our customers are B2B. So this makes up about I'm not sure, probably about 60-50% of our customers are B2B. We do have like one or two, not one or two, sorry, like a number of people who I guess are friends, or people who choose to order direct from us, and we'll usually send it direct to their homes and stuff. But essentially, most of the customers that we had were B2B customers. So I mean, bad enough during the pandemic when our retail sales were affected. Our wholesale was also affected because we couldn't open, our customers couldn't open as well. So we couldn't serve coffee. None of our customers were ordering coffee from us. So we saw a huge dip in sales. So that's where we kind of decided that, and even for like restaurants and offices as well, because offices made up a huge chunk of our customers as well. So during the pandemic, people were made to work from home, so offices weren't open, nobody was drinking coffee, so nobody was ordering pretty much. And that's what made us decide to, well, we can't focus on B2B from now on. It's good to have, definitely, to definitely cover all the same people, but we realized that we were missing out a big market as well, which is the B2C, and these are the people who are they're at home, they're sort of like missing the coffee that they can drink in cafes, and they're sort of discovering that now they can be home baristas. So they're all being very curious. They're going out there, they're buying coffee paraphernalia, they're buying tools, they're buying grinders, and they're making coffee at home, they're putting it on Instagram. It's a lot of fun, basically. So like that's what that those are the people that we wanted to reach out to, and to make them our customers. So that led us to launch our e-commerce web store. So now, like, we've managed to, I guess, cover both markets, where you can order B2B, but at the same time, if you're a customer, you're at home, you want to order beans direct to your place, you can do that very easy as well. You just go online, you buy a bag of beans. Very soon we'll have cold brew as well, and we'll deliver it right to your doorstep.
So this
yeah.
is what we are seeing, right? The online purchasing platform for your coffee.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And I'm not sure when the deal ends. Actually, the deal ends Sunday. But we're actually running like a buy one free one deal right now for anyone out there who buys a bag of coffee. We'll throw in a free bag of coffee if you use the code free coffee down there. So in the picture on the left, like the links at the bottom. But if you read the caption, it says use code free coffee at the checkout. We'll knock a bag off free for you. So yeah, bring it along.
Tomorrow, okay, everybody who is watching, so by tomorrow, okay, please order coffee. Yes, from Sarnies. And Wilbur, we have like a new menu launch from Sarnies for Eric or Ben to run through, if there's anything interesting.
Well, I guess I think Sarnies has been open 1.5 years now in Bangkok, but I guess that's one of the things we've learned from the last couple of months as well, is to make it as deliverable as possible. So with a lot of the new things that we've done, we've taken off things that don't travel well and replaced them with things that are as tasty or even better, and that travel well. So it's almost as good as having it in the restaurant. So yeah, we're also making the majority of everything in store as well. So we've got set up in a central kitchen. If you've seen the size of the Sarnies kitchen in Bangkok,
it's a box.
It's a tiny little chamber to knock out food for a few hundred people a day. So one of the dishes I really like on there is in top middle. It's inspired by a McDonald's egg McMuffin, but in that we make our own Thai sausage or sawa patty that goes on that. So yeah, just doing things like that and maintaining the usage of local ingredients where we can, because there's some fantastic stuff in Thailand.
Yeah. So and then under the muffin is the CB&J. Is it?
Yeah, that's the CB&J. So that is our take on a PB&J, so peanut butter and jam. But we're using our own homemade cashew butter. We put that on toast. We roast grapes and then finish it off with some thyme and some sea salt. Yeah, it's good.
So basically, I think this slide shows more or less what you should order. I mean, safe things to order when you're visiting Sarnies for the first time in Bangkok, I guess. Yeah.
It's all good, Eddie. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. So the next big thing that we're gonna talk about is your very surprising decision to get on with opening a new restaurant during this time when everybody is closed and you open a new one. So and Pimp My Salad. So tell us more about the circumstances of you getting on with it, and how is it doing now?
We didn't decide to do it in COVID. COVID sort of happened at the same time.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. No, it's I mean, where do you start? Like, I think we found a really good spot because it's located in Chongnonsi BTS section. So that's to viewers who are not sure where that is. That's it's kind of like the CBD area of Bangkok, one of the big CBD areas in Bangkok. And we found a space. over there, and it was actually it still was the old cafe. To those who may know Dexter, Dexter was the old cafe, and so they were actually on sale, and we reached out to them to take over that spot. And we ran into a lot of issues with opening. And like as you would know, normally opening a restaurant would be quite challenging. And somehow by the time we were ready, it was also during I guess the peak of lockdown pretty much. So the timing couldn't be worse. So it did come with a lot of different challenges. I think I can't remember, Ben, was it like a day or two before the lockdown we opened our doors?
Yeah, it was impeccable timing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like maybe the 20th of March or something.
I can't remember the exact dates, but
we're trying to erase it out of our memories. But yeah, it was pretty close to we opened and then the government announces a lockdown. So you've already started, so you have to keep going.
Yeah.
So it's basically it's the circumstance that you had to go on, right? Because you're already on it, and you just.
That's right.
Yeah.
You also have, I mean, in many ways, it could have been cheaper to just not open over the lockdown period. And one of the things you grapple with as well is that, particularly in Thailand, right? Your restaurants employ a lot of people. In Singapore, there's government help. But in Thailand, it's been a bit sketchy in terms of support that people get. So, so keeping the restaurant open and, whatever sales you can make makes a difference to the people that work there. So, one, we'd started, so we kept going, but two, we'd hired a bunch of people, and we'd also brought some people over from Sarnies to open this shop and help build this shop. And so, we felt, responsibility as well to keep it going, as much as we could.
So right from the off, Pimp My Salad was basically full delivery.
Yes. Yeah. So we started off, because I mean, like with like deliveries, to set that up might not, for a lot of people it was very difficult. So we had no idea that the lockdown was going to happen, and we decided, okay, we'll open our doors first, and then we'll get people talking about it, get people in the door trying the product, and then we'll work on deliveries like after that, basically. So focus on sort of getting the brand out there, doors open, and then work on deliveries after. But when the lockdown happened, I guess that's where we had to retool the business very quickly. And during that time, we weren't the only restaurants who were trying to get on platforms. We were one of the many thousands of restaurants trying to fight for a place on Foodpanda, trying to get on Get, Grab, all of these different platforms. So it was a very challenging time for us. But eventually, after trying really hard, we did get on these platforms. And like we mentioned, online presence is so important. So we were a new brand. Like Sarnies, people knew Sarnies already at that time. And Sarnies had a big following on our social media platforms. Whereas Pimp My Salad Bangkok was a brand new concept in Bangkok, And during that time, a lot of, I guess during the pandemic, people who are at home, they're ordering dinner, they're ordering lunch, it's almost like a huge commitment for you to get a delivery pretty much. So most of the time, a lot of people would stick with things that they know, things that they're quite comfortable with. Very little people are quite adventurous during, to try new things, basically. So a lot of our efforts were geared into trying to get, to educate people about the brand, and the good food that we do, it's healthy, it's good, it's nourishing, especially during a time of a virus. It's basically what you need to stay healthy, strong, and happy as well, because people are at home. People are they're stuck at home, they're not getting enough exercise, they're not getting enough sunlight, they're eating out of a box. So like what we tried to do is we wanted to give people a very wholesome meal, and we had to promote that as well on our platforms. So that was what we were focusing on pretty much.
So maybe you can just take the chance to tell us more about Pimp My Salad.
Sure, no worries. Yeah. So Pimp My Salad, basically, I mean, it's a very funny name, and the basically why we named it Pimp My Salad is it's named after. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that MTV show that used to have, what's his name? Was that Ice? I can't remember his name, but it was called Pimp My Ride, basically. And they would pretty much take in like cars, beaten up cars, and they would sort of pimp them up and tune them. And I mean, for our Singaporean friends, we call it zeng. They zeng the car until it's very flashy and nice, basically. So like this concept is kind of similar. You're walking into a space um, where you have in front of you all of these different options, that of dishes that are ingredients made fresh. They're all wholesome foods, and they're real food as well, basically. And the thing is, like nowadays there are so many different diets, right? Healthy means a lot of different things to different people. So it doesn't matter if you're on you know a particular sort of diet. If you're on keto, you'll be able to find something there. If you're on, if you're on a vegan diet, this is the place for you. If you're on if you're looking for, say, a dessert that is like, not, you're looking for dessert that you won't feel too guilty about after having it. We have like some really good, healthy, guilt-free desserts as well. Like the top right, we have an acai bowl that's pretty much served out of a soft serve machine. We flame and grill pineapples. We have a raw brownie on there. It's homemade granola that we make in-house with toasted coconut flakes. So all ingredients are raw. It's all healthy, and it's good tasting pretty much. So yeah.
I was just there on Tuesday. It's my first
Cool.
time
Nice.
at Pimp My Salad. Yeah, the food was pretty enjoyable, really enjoyable. I mean, you don't really feel the vibe of eating health food per se. It's just nice. It's just nice food that's healthy. I think there's no better way of putting it. Don't need to think of going there to eat health food or vegetarian food or vegan food, but just go and enjoy a meal, but know that what you are eating is really good for you. I think that is how I look at it. Yeah, after visiting. Yeah.
It's kind of like the idea behind this sort of followed, a general theme we try to put in anything we do, and it's would we eat there regularly ourselves, and so that was how we started Sarnies. I used to eat a sandwich every day for lunch, and so hence a sandwich shop, and I'm a bit more healthy these days. And so, we wanted something where you could go back every day and, not get tired of it. And we're looking at the different sort of salad places around, and a lot of salad places, you've got some chopped up tomatoes, you've got some lettuce, you've got some broccoli, and it's kind of all boring stuff. And then you put this sugary dressing over the top of it to give it some sort of flavor. And so we wanted to do something that was much better. And so every different ingredient here is prepared in house. It tastes good on its own. So when you combine it with all the others, it tastes even better. So there's infinite possibilities.
Yes, and I have to bring everybody to the attention of their grill. They have a
Oh,
very
yeah.
yeah.
My
They have a
favorite
very
part.
they have
Yeah.
they have a very unexpected equipment when I visited. I didn't really take a picture of it. I think I'll take a closer picture of it the next time I go. But they have this what they call the Argentinian grill, which I think I didn't expect to see in a salad place. So
Yeah.
and actually what I ate was the steak. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this what I ate was the steak, and the steak had this very nice robust aroma to it, which I love. So I think Pimp My Salad is a bit more than meets the eye. So I think one day maybe you could do some night pop-ups, like steak pop-ups, and I think you will do a good job as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's not a vegetable place, however. It's a meat place.
No, it's not. Yeah, and that's one of the things that we really thought would certainly elevate the brand. Was because it's kind of like because you go into a lot of salad places and a lot of the times the protein or the meats are not done as well. So part of the philosophy that of Pin My Salad is salads don't have to be boring or they don't have to be bland, like it shouldn't be any different from you having a nice piece of steak. So like it's very protein heavy, it's very meat heavy as well. And the great thing about it is that it's no limit, no maximum. You can go in there and build your own adventure. Uh, if let's say you wanted to sort of just go there and order steak, you could. Or if you wanted to just go there and eat pumpkin, you could. Or just eat salmon, you could as well. Like, so it's really like a fun playground, and you can build your own dishes. But we are also looking to launch dinner very soon. That's one of the things that we're going to be rolling out very. I think in the next month we're going to target to do that, and we're going to take advantage of that grill pretty much. One of the plans is to bring in like proper grilled tomahawks. We're also exploring a lot of biodynamic natural wines, craft beers. So it's a salad place, but at the same time, it's also the experience is kind of like a restaurant as well. So yeah.
Can't wait to be there.
No, we'd love to have you down. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we are going into the final lap. So I think everybody talks about the new normal. It's getting a very a bit of a boring word now. Uh, I think the new normal to me just means everybody tries harder to survive, which also might mean that we weren't trying hard enough previously. So for me, the new normal is just us trying harder than ever to do what we should do. So but the new normal has many implications, especially for F&B, because even though the restaurants in Thailand have been open for a while, I was very hesitant of bringing my family out because of the fact that I'm not sure whether my family could sit together, and it would be hell if my kids were forced to sit away from me. I'm sure Ben understands that. So
I would enjoy that for a little bit, actually.
no, but they won't stay there. They won't stay there for long, So it will be a bit
That's
of
right.
chaos to keep control. So can you update us a bit on the new normal for F&B for everyone's? If we are not, I mean, on both sides, for Singapore and Thailand.
I mean, I went on a bit about it before, but I think it is just pushing that online presence. Is one major part of it. The other thing we're looking at doing is creating online brands even before their physical stores, as a way to test, whether they're going to work or not. I think generally the returns in restaurants are going to be lower, with the higher amount of deliveries that will make up a greater proportion of your sales, is going to mean less profits, and so it won't be. I mean, in years gone by, and this is something that's been changing gradually over the years. But in years gone by, a restaurant could return a pretty decent return on your investment, but now that's much lower. And so, I think that's here to stay. And so it probably, our opinion, we certainly don't know everything, and we're figuring it all out as we go. But ultra efficient operations is probably going to have to be there in most places. Staff are going to have to be able to multitask and not just be designated to a particular station. So yeah, there's a number of things. We're figuring it out. And
maybe customers need to pay more.
That
means dining out becomes more of a luxury. In other words.
I don't think so. I think customers want to pay less, but they want better. And so, you just have to be much better as a restaurant. Again, staff have to multitask. Staff have to, operations have to be that much more efficient. But I don't think people's budgets are going to expand, or I do think there's a cap on what people want to pay, but there's a floor on consumer expectations. So I think it'll continue to get harder and harder. But I think for there certainly is opportunity for the for the restaurants that are able to adapt to those changes.
And just to add to that as well, I think with this current climate, like there would be a lot less people trying to venture into F&B as well right now. So I think that kind of weeds out a little bit of the competition for a lot of operators. So the ones who I guess the ones who will stay in F&B and who are good at what they do, things might be better for them, because say take Bangkok for example. You used to have like a restaurant and a cafe popping up every single month, but I think times will be very different now. Like people will think very carefully before they actually venture into the food and beverage or service business right now. So yeah.
It's a bit of like a survival of the fittest,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And like Ben mentioned, like it's all about online presence as well. If you can see your brand existing online, and to be able to serve like a market, then that's probably the direction that you should be moving towards. Yeah. And it's proven to work for a lot of different people. Grocery stores during this time, a lot of them saw a lot of increase in sales. Bakeries as well. Alcohol. During like a lot of these home delivery companies, a lot of them seem to have picking up. So yeah, I guess that's where a lot of brands should move towards right now.
Okay, and then for the consumer, can you just give us a quick update on what are the control measures or the hygiene measures for customers trying to dine in restaurants? Is it still as difficult as before, or is it a little bit looser now, the rules of dining in?
Singapore's a bit still, Singapore's fresh, so it's still a bit strict on Singapore side. But as you guys would know, Bangkok has, what are we now? We're about 2 weeks into opening, 2 or 3 weeks, I think. And it started very strict in the beginning, lots of social distancing, like you mentioned, a lot of these silly rules where a family would come in the same car and then they would enter a restaurant and be made to split up and sit in different tables, So like and it's very hard as well as a restaurant, because a lot of customers, I guess, when the people who were out in the beginning when the lockdown was lifted were people who were very open-minded, of course. The ones who were scared, they stayed at home. But the ones who were out, you would have a lot of people they understand the rules and they would play by the rules. But we've also had some experiences where customers refused to social distance. They didn't want to play by the rules, which we're cool with it. Like because we don't believe in we don't believe that all the rules make sense as well. Especially when you have to split families up when they arrive in the same vehicle and stuff. But
and the screen between people who are sharing food.
no, that was really funny. It's like you would eat,
yeah,
you would eat with the screen, and then after like 5 minutes, like people would remove the screen, and suddenly they would feel safe, So it's a lot of what people believe, basically, and I guess where your fear levels are as well. But where it becomes tricky is that when during the beginning of the lockdown, during the beginning of the lockdown being lifted, there were a lot of surprise inspections. And like there would also be, I guess, people who are also whistleblowers as well. I mean, not that we ever did anything wrong, but there were some people who felt that some of the measures taken, although compliant with the government rules, were not enough, basically. So that was the issue that we had with some people. So I guess moving forward as a customer, where if you're gonna dine out, like you have to have some sort of empathy for the restaurant. Doesn't matter which side you're on, whether you believe that people should really follow measures and social distance, or whether you believe that it's all fine and we can all sit together. The restaurant is one. There's someone who, at the end of the day, there are people behind brands, no matter how big they are, and it's a very difficult time for everyone right now. So like everyone needs to have a bit of empathy for each other right now. So yeah.
So we
I think
please, Wilbur.
Yeah, we have a question from one of our viewers. Are there any change in the limitations? I mean, have Sarnies and Pimp My Salad like change in the number of customers who come into your restaurant?
It's more determined on distance. So as long as the tables at the moment, I think it's the different groups are 1 meter apart.
Yep.
So that's the government rule at the moment. So in Thailand, there's no limitation on the number of people in a premises if it's big enough.
Okay, so which means that the group can already sit together, but
yes,
from group to group we need to be 1 meter apart.
That's right. Yes.
Is it the same in Singapore?
Singapore is. I have to check on the distance.
I think it's I can't quite remember, but I think it's 50 per. Was it not 50? Sorry, 5. Was it like per restaurant, or what was it again? I can't quite remember.
Oh, you can only dine in a group of maximum 5 at the moment.
I see. All right, but does it state any sort of like maximum diners in the restaurant? We're not sure. I mean, the ops team would know. And they've been very good with preparing for the opening. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody from Singapore, Muli Wong, told us that Singapore is limited to 5.
Hi, Mom. That's my mom.
Your mom is in Singapore?
Hi.
Yeah, she's in Singapore now. Yeah.
Okay.
It's nice. She's my fact checker. So yeah.
So yeah. Last question.
Sure.
Yay. Any words for people in the industry, your friends in the industry, and your customers?
Yeah, I guess like for people in the restaurant industry, just basically a lot of the stuff that we went through already, um, one of the key factors is making your brand exist online, basically. That's one very important thing, and also marketing as well. Um, I think where we sort of managed to pivot quite well was, with, we were putting out a lot of aggressive deals, even though like we weren't making a lot of money on these deals. But what was very important was we were getting people to actually try the product. We were getting our cold brew coffees in their fridges. We were getting, people to eat the pasta. We're getting people to try the food. And that was, I think that kind of helped. That really helped a lot because, as we've mentioned before, 70% of our customers were all tourists, and a lot of people did not know that Sarnies did, a lot of good food as well. Um, so I think it was paramount that we managed to do, we managed to sort of educate people that, we're not just a place where you can get coffee, we're a place where, you can get like really good food as well. And once enough people, were trying the food, when doors opened, they actually came down. So focus on actually speaking to your customers online. And it doesn't matter whether it's on a forum or, your social media. You just kind of have to get your brand out there just to get people's eyes on it, and delivery platforms as well. Although they're expensive, the commission fee is high. Um, if you don't exist online, nobody will see you, basically. So you kind of have to at least start there first. Um, if you're trying to get on platforms, it's good to do that. And then once you have a good following, then build your own platform, and then get customers direct you know, to your own platform, basically. So yeah.
Yeah. So Ben, any words to your customers? Because yeah, I'm sure there are many people who buy things from Sarnies not only because your stuff are very good, but also because they want to buy from Sarnies. So do you have any words from them for them?
I mean, we're figuring it out as we go, day by day. But certainly, for us, one thing that we're very lucky to have is a great team of people working at Sarnies. If anything, it's been a better time for us, right? It's brought the team together. We've worked together better than we ever have. And, just because of that, I guess you call it a bit like a family. And because of that familyness, we've been able to venture out into, building that online presence and putting out as good as social media as we possibly can. And so that's the direction we're going to keep going into. We're going to continue to make our stores better, but we're going to put a higher emphasis on the on learning about building the businesses online.
Yeah, one more thing to add to people in the industry as well. I think this is a very good time for everyone to support each other too. I think what Ben brought up is very true. Like, difficult times do bring people together, and it's amazing how many people how many people we've sort of spoken to. People who have supported us, people in the industry, people who are actually competitors as well. It's one of those times where everyone just really feels like they're fighting the same battle. And no, it's great, so it's a great time for everyone to support each other.
Like Chef Bang from Funky Lam Kitchen, who
Mhm.
was our chef at home in the previous week. He said that we are all in this together. So when I asked him what does he eat, cook for himself at home, he says that nowadays he wants to support restaurants, so he orders a lot of delivery. So
That's
this
great.
is the
Yeah.
kind of spirit, that we can see in the industry right now, which is very
that's
nice.
right. Yeah.
So Wilbur,
Order
maybe
from
we should
restaurants.
just
Sorry.
run through the comments so that they can see the
Yep.
one or two comments left before we end. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Lena was actually asking the previous questions because her place in Caribbean actually has a maximum of 25 people per restaurant with a distance of 1.5 meters. Yeah, so I think their rules are even stricter, right? Over in Caribbean, because in Singapore or Thailand, I think they only require a distance of like 1 meter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very different from place to place. I think in London
Yeah.
they've got a 2 meter rule going. A very scientifically backed 2 meters.
Okay. And
I will basically just run through the comments because we don't
Awesome.
have any question.
yeah.
Thanks, Leonard. Thank you.
See you tomorrow, Leonard.
That's awesome. Yeah, catch you guys tomorrow.
Hey, Lukeman.
Awesome.
Thanks
you
a
so
lot,
much,
Lena. If we're ever in the Caribbean, we'll come and visit Curacao.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. So you see, our viewers spread far and wide.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Thank
you, Mom.
All right. Yeah, we have gone through all the comments that we have.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. So thank you, Ben. Thank you, Eric, for giving us nearly 1.5 hours of your time. Yeah.
Hey, thank you guys, and
Thank you so much.
you.
It's been great to chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hope
Thank
this
you so
has
much.
been some really good good information for your viewers. Thank you.
Yeah. We will continue to share it. You know, we will put a blog post and put this on. It'll be on our YouTube as well. So it'll be there forever.
Yeah.
So luckily you didn't say anything bad about anyone, huh? So,
Yeah, and my mom will see everything as well. So.
oh yeah, true.
Cool.
Okay then.
All right. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Okay, see you.
Good night.
Thanks,
Bye
guys.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
All right. As usual, we will have more Q&A plans in the coming weeks. Yeah. So do stay tuned to our platform. We will post up the information once we have them ready. So see you on our next Q&A live next week. Take care and bye bye.